Guys, we did it. We did it, everyone. We made it through the offseason. Give yourselves a hand. Your patience has paid off because we've got real NFL football coming in a couple weeks, Jake. And I couldn't be more excited. There's a lot of anticipation and excitement around the Titans this year. How are you doing, Jake? Are you ready for the season?
I am doing great, Justin. I am so happy to be back on here with you talking Titans football. It's felt like forever, but the weather is starting to break up here in Ohio. It's starting to feel fall weather. I'm going to break out the flannels and get ready to watch some Titans football. And I got to tell you, Justin, my expectations are through the roof for this Titans team. So maybe we'll talk those down a little bit in this video. Maybe they'll be even higher by the end of the video.
No, they're going to be in the clouds. They're going to be in the clouds after this video, Jake.
I'm going to be counting our Super Bowl win and then predicting us to repeat in 2022 by the end of this video.
It's really going to be, it's going to be a matter of, is this team going to repeat in 2022? That's about where we are at hype levels around this Titans team this year.
Mm-hmm.
But before we get started, just as we enter this new season, this new Titans Tube season, so what you can expect from this channel this year, pretty much how we were doing it last year. We're going to come with a game preview every single week. We're going to do our weekly picks video as well, where we go through each week and pick who we think the winners are going to be. And then we're going to do a game recap after whoever the Titans face. We're going to try to do those on Sunday so we can get those out as timely as possible, and so we can get our hot takes out there and our overreactions when they are at their best on Sundays, as they are with everyone. So those are the three videos we're going to try to get out. We're going to try to have those game previews and the weekly picks out by Wednesday, so we can fit in that Thursday night game, because I know it's hard to do that, and sometimes we just kind of have to forget about the Thursday night game. I think we did that a couple times last year, but that's the plan right now, and so we're just going to take it as we go from there.
Perfect. Sounds great to me, Justin. What do you say we dive in? I know we have missed, other than the Julio Jones video in the NFL draft, we've missed the entire offseason into the preseason. A lot of talk, a lot of speculations. So I kind of wanted to hit some preseason storylines to kind of kick off this video. Number one headlining story is probably got to be Logan Woodside winning the backup job over Matt Barkley. I don't know, would you consider that the number one storyline? The Titans fans, you said it at the jump. We've been debating the number 5, number 6 receiver for 2 months, and who's going to be the backup center. Do we have enough at left tackle, behind Taylor Lewan? Let's just try and stay healthy, and we won't even have to worry about these questions. But anyways, Logan Woodside wins the backup job over Matt Barkley. Justin, do you have an opinion on this Logan Woodside victory?
I mean, it was a story, because in a lot of these cases, like, there's no competition. We know who our starters and even some of our immediate backups behind them are going to be. But it was a question, who is going to be the backup quarterback? Last year it was Logan Woodside. Matt Barkley came in, and it was kind of I don't know if it was a coin flip, but he was definitely brought in to push for that backup job. But, Logan Woodside gets it. Great. But at the end of the day, I hope he never sees the field, because the drop off from Tannehill to him is too much. And the question is, can he come in and actually win us a game, manage a football game? In that situation, you got to hope we just ride Henry, and then, he's surrounded by elite receiving talent as well. So, I mean, it's possible, but I mean, the team's just going to have to, it can't be a game where we get into a shootout, because I don't see Logan Woodside slinging the ball around the yard, putting up 30 points. So, he's our backup again this year. Good for him. He knows the system. He's been here for his second year now, I think. Yeah, he was
second or third. Yeah,
he's the first year. Been here. So he's familiar with the system and the players. So that's good. Continuity, that was such an issue with the Titans teams of past. But, hopefully he never has to take a snap for us this year.
Yeah, and that's also why I think that perfectly explains why, as a Titans Tube channel, we kind of skip over all of the offseason debate, training camp debate, because it's mostly, with this Titans team being as top heavy as it is, you're debating and talking over guys who hopefully, fingers crossed, as you said, won't see the field. So Congrats to Logan Woodside. I was personally a Matt Barkley fan throughout the preseason until in the Bears game, I believe, Woodside kind of booted out, scrambled for a first down, showed some wheels. And I, thought to myself, maybe he's just got those athletic abilities to barely cling on and try and win us a football game. So I do have a little bit of hope with Logan Woodside. Moving to the second point I have on our preseason recap, so to speak, the defense is taking strides, ? I know you have to take preseason with a grain of salt and kind of step back and realize these games are glorified scrimmages, but you have to like what you've seen from the defense leading up to the regular season. Obviously, only allowed Atlanta 3 points, only allowed Tampa Bay 3 points. Obviously, the Bears scored 27 and won the game. But again,
there was a pick six. There was a pick six as well. So, hey, can't fault the defense for that as well.
You're right.
Make sure to credit, hey, the defense didn't allow all those 27 points.
That's true. Yeah. But from the defensive starter standpoint, I mean, we saw limited snaps from Jayon Brown and Rashaan Evans at the linebackers. Jeff Simmons got in a little bit, the Chicago game. I think Byard played all 3 games.
Yeah.
And kind of that revolving door at corner. We have Jack Rabbit Jenkins and Christian Fulton on the other side. They got some snaps, but going against backups, you can't really weight these reps as you would in the regular season. But all in all, I feel like the defense played with tenacity, played with purpose, and it kind of showed on the stat sheet.
They did what you were hoping them to do, especially if it was mostly backups they were going against. I mean, dude, they were getting off the field on third down, and that's backups or not. That's what you want to see, and they couldn't do that to save our lives last year. So maybe it's good for confidence, whether it's against starters or not. They get some momentum regularly, forcing punts, 3 and outs. They were doing that. So hopefully that's some momentum that they can carry on into the regular season. Because I was kind of surprised to see like our starting defense out there every single game for a few series, and it would be concerning if they didn't do if they were allowing first downs and letting these backups come down and score points on them. Remember, it was either 2016 or 17 where the offense could not do anything throughout the entire preseason. I remember it was against the Bears, I'm pretty sure, and it was the 4th preseason game. Mariota and the offense were out there, and we were shut out in the first half. And I'm pretty sure the Bears were playing their backups, and it was bad. It was causing some severe stress and anxiety. We're gonna be dog crap on offense this year. So if that was happening to the defense, we were probably gonna be talking about, oh God, same old story, same old song and dance of the defense just isn't getting it done. But they locked down these backups, Jake. These backups are probably cut now because of our starters, stopping them. So good for the defense.
I love it.
The number one defense of the preseason, according to Jim Wyatt. We allowed the fewest yards of any team.
How about it? Hey, from the basement to number 1 defense in the preseason, we'll take what we can get. Also, another thing I wanted to mention, order your Elijah Molden jerseys now so you can get the most wear out of them over time. Cortland Finnegan 2.0. Love this dude out of Washington. And, obviously the Tampa Bay game kind of pops up as his highlight tape of the preseason. But love what we're seeing out of Elijah.
He got on all fours like a lion and just tracked down whoever the quarterback was for that sack, and he split the blockers. Dude, that dude's got some football savvy, some high IQ. I do like the Cortland Finnegan comparison. I think that's accurate. Kind of going on the same thing. Do you have any concerns? I'm just kind of riffing here. What about Caleb Farley? He saw a good amount of preseason action. You can kind of see where, a lot of people are saying, and it's true, that he hasn't seen the football field in 2 years because of his injury. But I don't know. What was your takeaway? I mean, I know he allowed a handful of receptions here and there. You saw the speed, though. He does have he can correct. It was a lot of what Adoree Jackson kind of brought. He would get beat initially, but he's such a great athlete that he would just use his closing speed and be right back in the right spot to make a play. So I don't know. What's your thoughts on Caleb Farley? Do you think he'll play a lot early on this year?
I don't think he's going to play a lot. The thing from the preseason that popped out about Caleb Farley, or at least like, the practice rep or the play that we saw the most, was him going stride for stride with Mike Evans in those joint practices, knocking passes away from him. You love to see that kind of rep.
Yeah.
The next day, I believe we read just tweet after tweet about how Caleb Farley is getting burned by the Bucs receivers, which is, he's a rookie, hasn't seen the field in 2 years. These are all valuable things for him to experience, getting his feet wet in the NFL. And I saw something else about Caleb Farley that changed my mindset on him quite a bit. And that we should look at Caleb Farley as a Jeffrey Simmons type draft pick. Yes, he might not come in day one and make an immediate impact like Jeff Simmons was coming off of the ACL. We didn't see him until like week 8 or 9 in that Chargers game in 2019. But it's that kind of investment, I should say, into the future of this defense. I think their plan coming into this year is hold on tight with Janoris Jenkins, Jackrabbit Jenkins, and Christian Fulton, and hopefully Elijah Molden can play that slot corner. Breon Borders is in the mix, but I think they're going to try and hold on as best they can until they think Caleb Farley is NFL ready to send him out there. So I don't expect to see him a whole bunch in the first leg of the season, but I like the investment type, Jeffrey Simmons type pick of Caleb Farley. So just fingers crossed he can come along and get healthy for us.
And if he can, dare I say, Jake, I'm kind of excited about this secondary. The turnaround from last year, as far as the roster goes, that John Robinson did, seems pretty incredible. And it does help that Christian Fulton, by all accounts, is coming along really nicely. So I'm thinking that our starting defense is going to have Jackrabbit Jenkins and Fulton starting on the outside, with probably Elijah Molden playing a lot in the slot. And that's, two completely new faces, and Fulton played 3 or 4 games last year. So there's a lot of limited experience other than Jackrabbit Jenkins. And it's going to be a tough test, the first game against DeAndre Hopkins and Christian Kirk, AJ Green, if he's going to come back and be anything like his old self. So it's going to be a big test early on for him, but I'm kind of excited about him, especially if Caleb Farley can come around at least halfway through the season and have some impact play. That would be a huge boost from last year.
I feel like my only concern going into this year, I'm so in the clouds high on the Titans right now, but I'm with you. There's not a lot of experience in this secondary. I mean, can Kevin Byard be the voice back there and kind of rally these younger guys and be the leader that this defense needs? I think he's stepping into that role. But, I feel like Jackrabbit is kind of feast or famine. I've seen mixed reviews from Saints fans and Giants fans. I mean, a lot of people really do love him because he plays with such energy, such passion. And you see that from him. But, it's going to be a Malcolm Butler type situation. I think you're going to see him getting toasted a couple of plays, and you're going to see him showing up really big for us in some plays. So I hope the secondary can kind of put it together.
Speaking of Malcolm Butler, he kind of brings that kind of swag and that kind of trash talk kind of in your face a little bit. And it comes back and makes him look dumb when he gets burned on plays, but he makes up for it too. He can back it up from time to time. And I think that'll help the overall, attitude, the vibe, the swag of the secondary. So I like Jackrabbit Jenkins in that kind of Malcolm Butler role. Sure. Wish Malcolm Butler, I guess, by the way, the best retirement that came out of nowhere. Hopefully personal issues are okay with him. Our passing offense just got a boost though in week 1 if he's not going to be out there for Arizona.
That it did.
And just because we haven't mentioned him yet of the whole secondary, Amani Hooker, I'm excited about Amani Hooker. I think he's going to come in and be that Kenny Vaccaro of 2019, early 2020, when Vaccaro was a really solid, strong safety for us. I think Hooker has come around and developed really nicely. Another good mid-late round draft pick from John Robinson that's coming in and is starting on this defense now. So, for sure. Just to round it out, that I think I agree with you is probably the biggest question mark, coming into this year. Can we get the secondary back to not giving up 3rd and 15s on a regular basis, because that was killing this team last year.
Oh my goodness. I last year watching the Titans defense, I would almost rather see 3rd and 8 than 3rd and 15 or 3rd and 20, because I am sitting there holding my head, like just waiting for it. Like, just do it to me already. Move the chains. You expected it, and it happened quite often.
Yeah. It was the most bizarre thing ever. Like, if you're not a Titans fan, we're not exaggerating. It was the most unbelievable thing how often we would give up 3rd and longs, that it was, you expected it after a certain point. But, I think the pass rush is going to help that too. I mean, the corners, no secondary can cover for longer than like 5 seconds or however long it is. Like, Bud Dupree, going to be huge if he can come back from that ACL tear last year. Danico Autry, really excited about him, along with Jeff Simmons. And if Harold Landry can get off the COVID list and be in there, I think we got some promising pass rushers coming in, along with David Robertson, who made the team, and David Long Jr., who can do a little bit of everything. I'm excited about David Long Jr. now coming in for this year.
David Long Jr. really had a splash play in the preseason. I think it was the Atlanta game, but he kind of flipped his hips and made an incredible acrobatic interception. And you like to see that kind of thing. It's got that Jayon Brown style playmaker to him. So, very excited about the pass rush. Bud Dupree said just earlier this week, I believe, that if week 1 were tomorrow, he would be out there and he's healthy and ready. So I think kudos to Mike Vrabel, the training staff, for making sure all of the Titans ducks are in a row, be it Julio Jones, Derrick Henry, A.J. Brown, Bud Dupree, any of those guys who saw significant rest, significant 0 practice time, that they're ready for week 1, and hopefully Bud Dupree can come in and make that splash. I guess finishing out our preseason, offseason storylines, as Titans fans love to do, clamor about practice squad wide receivers and bottom of the barrel wide receivers who we really love. Mason Kinsey, a great feel-good story, was cut from the 53, but he is now back on the practice squad. And John Robinson's latest swing and a miss, 4th-round pick, Des Fitzpatrick, cut from the 53, also on the practice squad. So I've seen a lot of fans talk about John Robinson's inability to draft, or he's not very good in the draft. I know we traded up to get Des Fitzpatrick, but guys, it's the 4th round. We see 4th-round picks get cut all around the league, and you expected this guy to come in and be wide receiver 3 or 4. Maybe when we drafted him and Julio wasn't on the roster, that might have been the case. But Des Fitzpatrick right now is a luxury. He's we don't need Des Fitzpatrick to be a great wide receiver for this team just yet. And that's why they're stashing him on the practice squad. And it shows a coachability side to Des Fitzpatrick. It shows, he wasn't guaranteed a roster spot being a 4th-round pick or being traded up to be selected. So I don't know. Do you have any opinions on either Mason Kinsey or Des Fitzpatrick not making this roster?
I mean, I think it was just a crowded, wide receiver room. We're pretty stacked, especially the top end talent at wide receiver. So you had to come in and bring something else, something that you can contribute on special teams, particularly. And I think Nick Westbrook, Akeen. I need to learn his name. He's been on our team long enough now. Yep. He couldn't bring that special teams play as well as Cam Batson. Cam Batson has stuck around on this roster, it seems like, for a while now. And I mean, he's just a flat out good football player, and he's kind of a fringe roster guy, but he's just a guy you look at and you see play and
sticks around
season, and it's like, it's really hard just to cut this guy. I would like to keep him around. So I guess I'm glad that we kept Cam Batson for depth, but he can contribute on special teams.
On Cam Batson, he is the longest tenured Titan in the wide receiver room at 4. This is his 4th season. AJ Brown is on 3, obviously Julio's first season, Josh Reynolds' first year, Nick Westbrook, maybe I think his 2nd year. Incredible. Cam Batson, just that kind of guy who won't go away. And clearly it shows, being the eldest in the receiving room. Obviously, Julio Jones' actual age, but the longest tenured in Nashville is Cam Batson. So hats off to him.
Cam Batson's in there leading the team meetings and getting the guys fired up, rah. He's the leader of that wide receiver room.
Yep.
Now, But yeah, and Chester Rogers, you saw him on the long punt return. He can contribute on special teams. And I guess Marcus Johnson, we didn't really see him at all in the preseason, but I guess he blew the coaches' minds with his play on the practice field because he made the team based on what he was doing in practice. So hopefully he can stay healthy, and God forbid something happens to one of our top receivers, he can come in and fill the role and make an impact. But I'm glad we got Fitzpatrick back on the practice squad. I mean, I don't know. We'll see if he can develop along with Mason Kinsey, like you said, feel good story. But as far as John Robinson and the draft picks, I mean, a lot of the people that criticize him are focusing a lot on the misses, and he does have misses big time. Look at our first round pick last year, Isaiah Wilson, Kevin Dodd, Fitzpatrick, where it does look much worse that we traded up to pick him and he didn't make the roster. So that sucks to see. But guys, remember, it's like, did you guys just start watching the Titans in 2016 when John Robinson's first year as GM? Do we not remember life before 2016 and just the mishmash of just talent not there for the most part? And we weren't winning games, and it was bad. Since John Robinson got here, we've never had a losing season. A lot of 9-7s in there, but it counts as a winning season.
It counts.
And I mean, he's hit so many home runs for it. Or I was about to start off with Taylor Lewan, but that wasn't John Robinson. But he's got us the Kevin Byard, the Jeffrey Simmons. He picked Jayon Brown. What a value! What an incredible late round pick that was. I don't know who else that can't.
Not to mention Derrick Henry.
The second round.
AJ Brown,
AJ Brown.
He traded for Tannehill. He picked up Tannehill with a 7th round pick, and Miami paid half of his salary while Tannehill is quarterbacking us to the AFC Championship game. I mean, I agree with you. People who criticize John Robinson are solely on the misses, but you look around this Titans roster and it's John Robinson made, and you're right, he has not had a losing season as GM, and it's only getting better. Yes, there were 4 9-7s in a row, but now it's 11-5, and now expectations are even higher. So it's trending in the correct direction for him.
I mean, all you have to do is look at after 2015, 6 years later, you look at this team, and I know we're going to talk about expectations and all that, but this roster, depending on how the defense can get together and get that chemistry playing with each other, especially in the secondary and the pass rush, which is pretty much everything. This team could win a Super Bowl. It is very reasonable to say that this team legitimately has a good shot at least reaching the Super Bowl and even winning it with the talent across the board on this roster. That's the GM. That's John Robinson getting this thing going. As soon as he got here, he started working at this. And as low as we were 5-6 years ago, we have a legitimate shot at winning a Super Bowl. So that's incredible. John Robinson is outstanding. You're going to have your Des Fitzpatricks. Hopefully, I mean, the miss on Isaiah Wilson is pretty astounding. How he was a first-round pick and played maybe 4 snaps and then just quit football.
He's out of the league. Yeah,
that's amazing. And it's amazing that he can miss that bad on a first-round pick, and the roster is still good enough to have a good shot at a Super Bowl this year. So kudos to J-Rob. He's got his misses, but I mean, he's a very good. He's got to be top 5, top 7 GM in the league, I think. I mean, what he's done since he's gotten here in Tennessee is amazing. So
no doubt.
I love J-Rob, and J-Rob we trust always.
I mean, I feel like people don't remember the 2-14 Titans. They don't remember the 3-13 Titans back-to-back years. They won 5 games. 5 games. Dude. John Robinson comes in, and within 4 years, you're talking about being a serious Super Bowl contender. So kind of pump the brakes on the John Robinson criticism a little bit.
Yeah.
All right, we're going to try and finish out here, go a little quicker on our preseason storylines, but everybody loves Makai Sargent. And I know that the roster is still fluid with people coming off of the COVID list. They talk about a repeat of last year, Titans' first COVID outbreak amongst NFL teams, at least. I know it's fluid, but as of right now, Makai Sargent has played his way onto the 53-man roster. Love this dude. I remember Mike Keith was talking about him being like a bowling ball because he's got that small build, but God, does he run hard. And there was a play in the Tampa. I mean, he ran great in all 3 preseason games, but the play against Tampa where he's just bouncing off dudes, keeping the legs churning, dragging people at like 5'9" or something like that. Love a dude like Makai Sargent. And even in John Robinson's presser like a day or two ago, he was praising him up and down. Everybody loves Makai Sargent.
Yeah. Dude, he's one of those stories that's like evidence of, a guy coming out of nowhere can legitimately, if you work hard and you come to work every day and you want it bad enough, there's a spot on an NFL team for you. And I know it's hard and it's almost impossible, but Makai Sargent, there's guys like that. And it's good to see. It's a good story. He was a rookie, right? I guess undrafted.
Yeah, undrafted. Iowa research.
Yeah. So that's probably one of the biggest story in terms of here's a guy that came out of nowhere that could see some snaps and maybe a lot of snaps depending on how Darrington Evans, how it plays out with him and his injury issues. Love Darrington Evans. I think he can be a great change of pace, quality back, can catch the ball out of the backfield, something Derrick Henry doesn't necessarily bring to the offense, but he can't stay on the field. So we're looking for maybe Makai Sargent to come in and fill that gap. So good for him. So happy and what a great name, Makai Sargent.
It rolls off the tongue. Love it.
Yes.
Salute you, Sarge. Great work from him and great work from somebody else. Justin, the Titans may have their kicker.
This is actually probably the biggest storyline.
Maybe the
biggest going to happen with our kicker.
Nashville Hot Ficken. Sam Ficken, free agent from the New York Jets last year, I believe, comes in, and I was a big fan of Tucker McCann. No, who am I thinking? I've already forgotten the other guy because I'm head over heels.
It was McCann, I'm pretty sure. He
was
the
other one.
I think so, yeah.
Okay, yeah. Tucker McCann had an injury in the Atlanta game, and out comes Ficken for like a 56-yarder. And on that kick alone, he drilled it. It would have been good from 63. And I said, sir, you have the job. Everybody on their couch said, Sam Ficken, you have the kicking job for the Titans. He has come in, been nearly, I think he's perfect in gameplay. Obviously, he's going to miss some in practice. Whatever, it's practice. But yes, Sam Ficken is going to be the kicker for your 2021 Tennessee Titans, and hopefully a beacon of consistency after what is now a 2-year drought at the kicking position.
How dare Ryan Suckup come on back from injury too early and start missing kicks and then get cut and then go win a Super Bowl like the next year with Tom Brady and the Bucs. I love you, Ryan Suckup, but I'm glad he got a Super Bowl ring. He was great for his time here. And speaking of the kicker competition, I remember earlier on in the offseason, there was a lot of tweets and reports from reporters at practice saying like, oh, miss here, miss there. This one was wide right, not even close, from both McCann and Ficken, I guess. And I was like, here we go again. Here's a problem. Call Gostowski back, I guess.
Yeah.
But then, it's almost like in the past few weeks, or at least since the preseason game started, it was like Ficken was 9 for 10 at practice today with his one miss being from 59 yards. And I was like, all right, that's good. And then he was like, wasn't he perfect in the preseason?
Yeah. Extra points and field goals. I don't think he missed a single kick in game.
I mean, we would be dumb not to make him our kicker at this point. As long as he makes his Ficken kicks, you won't hear a complaint out of me.
Love it. So there's going to be plenty of puns. Yeah.
They're probably going to get old and everyone's going to get tired of them, but not here at Titans 2. We're going to come with our Ficken puns week in and week out all the time. It's not going anywhere here.
I'm just glad we got a Ficken good kicker on the roster. We can do this all night. We can do this all night. Okay. That kind of wraps up the off-season, preseason storylines. I don't know if you had any others, Justin. That's kind of what I had as the headliners, at least.
Here's something. It's probably not important, and we shouldn't dwell too long on this, but we saw a lot of the starting defense in the preseason, but we got no top players from the offense. Well, I think Taylor Lewan played a little bit.
In the Bears game,
no Tannehill, no Henry, no A.J. Brown, no Julio Jones, no Josh Reynolds played a little bit. And you kind of look across the leagues, these other teams, Mahomes played, Tom Brady played. Is there any kind of concern coming right out of the gates with our most important players not seeing any action in the preseason, or have these guys played enough football where they're just first snap, they're ready from the get-go? Is there any kind of concern there for you?
There was initially until, especially with Julio Jones getting oriented in this Titans offense, working with Ryan Tannehill, until I heard, for the past 3 or 4 years in Atlanta, Julio Jones hasn't practiced in a long time, and he's doing just fine.
Years.
He's a stud. He does not need to play in the preseason. He doesn't need to practice all that often. Now, you would like to see him ramped up a little bit, get some chemistry with Tannehill. But, even look back to last year, Justin, there was no preseason, and the Titans started 5-0. I feel like Tannehill and Henry have a good command. The offensive line has played together quite a bit. Maybe not this offseason, but, Nate Davis, Ben Jones, Roger Saffold, and Taylor Lewan have played a lot of game time together already. So I think they're a good cohesive unit. Obviously, A.J. Brown's on the same page as Tannehill, and I think Julio Jones is a good enough athlete. Maybe if he keeps working hard, he can probably have a pretty good season for the Titans.
Probably.
So the preseason action doesn't mean that much to me, and it means more to me to see all of these skill position guys start week 1 versus Derrick Henry gets a carry in the Tampa Bay game and goes down with an ACL. It means more to me that they're ready to go for the regular season than it does to, get that cohesiveness together, so to speak.
And you mentioned all of or almost all, 4 of our offensive linemen that have a very cohesive, to use that word, could have cohesiveness about them. Who's our right tackle, though? Because Dylan Radins has not really done a great job so far. Hopefully he comes around and can fill that spot. But we have, have they named a right tackle starter yet? Ty Sambrailo, Kendall Lamb, they're kind of in the mix there. Quessenberry.
Quessenberry is, I think, if there were to be a betting favorite on the Titans starting right tackle, it would be Quessenberry. My sources are tweets that I've seen. But I think you have a decent pick of guys you can put in that right tackle position, be it Kendall Lamb, who, is a quality starter for the Browns. I think I have enough faith in the 3 guys there in Quessenberry and Kendall Lamb, and I'm blanking on the Sambrailo. I feel like I have enough confidence in those 3 guys that at least one of them can figure it out and put it together with the rest of the offensive line. I'm a big Kendall Lamb fan, though. I've seen kind of how that guy carries himself in press conferences and everything else. So I'm cheering for Kendall Lamb, but I've seen that Quessenberry is probably the favorite to take the right tackle spot.
Gotcha. Yeah, we'll see. Hopefully, hopefully it's not anything that we have to worry about. We just let Dennis Kelly go, and it's like, great. Now maybe we shouldn't have done that since we're kind of scrambling a little bit, but we'll see. We'll see. I don't think that's going to be a detriment. I don't know. Somebody could scream around the right side, strip sack, fumble, change the course of a game, and we're like, oh no, the right tackle position was something to worry about. I don't know. Not to be a Debbie.
Cross that bridge when we get to it.
It's not going to happen
for sure. Justin,
moving on.
I have one question for you. What are your expectations for the Titans this year? Lay it out on the table, word vomit it all out, and tell me what you feel in your heart about this Titans season coming up, because I feel like it is a very special one.
It very much has a good chance of being a special one, Jake. And every year I say Titans Super Bowl champs, book it. That's just my bias coming out of there. But we have a very, very good team. Expectations. Looking at the rest of the division, I'm expecting to repeat as AFC South champs at worst, host another playoff game. Hopefully it goes differently this year. I hate the Ravens. I just need to throw that one out there. I would like to get revenge on the Ravens should we see them in the playoffs, since we don't see them in the regular season this year. But they just got revenge for our initially beating them, so we need to get revenge for that revenge.
Yeah,
it's a back and forth series. It's
a ping pong match for sure.
I'm looking at the AFC. I think as pretty much probably everybody thinks that the Bills and Chiefs are at least two of the 3 or 4 top teams in the AFC. I think they're 1 and 2 in most people's minds. The AFC is going to go through either of those teams. They met in the AFC Championship last year. I see no reason why they wouldn't be as good or have any kind of drop-off pending any injuries or COVID. Mm-hmm. It could be a thing where whoever is the most doesn't get infected by COVID is probably going to be the team that has the most success this year. Mm-hmm. So it goes to the Bills and Chiefs. I think the Titans definitely, if the defense can get right there, they have as good of an offense, I think. Yes, they have as good of an offense. They have as good of pieces on offense as the Bills and Chiefs. Ryan Tannehill, he's not as good as Patrick Mahomes at quarterback, but the weapons and the running game, if you put it all together, I think our offense is right there with the Chiefs. And the Bills are great, too, on offense. Josh Allen has really surprised me with how he's come around to be a top quarterback. But after that, who are you looking at? For some reason, I don't see the Steelers really being there. Mm-hmm. I don't know why. I know they jumped out to like a whatever an
11-0, yeah.
And then they completely fell apart. The Browns, I like them. They have a lot of talent, but there's something about them. I don't know why. Maybe I subconsciously, I don't believe in Baker Mayfield. I think he's pretty good, but does he have the lead your team to a Super Bowl I don't know. I know they kicked our butts last year in a big way at home. Mm-hmm. So that's kind of hard for me to say, but I love their offense. I love Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt as a duo. They've got good receivers. Myles Garrett, one of the best defensive linemen in the game. So they could definitely be a top AFC team. Then you got the Ravens. They're going to do their thing with Lamar Jackson in the running game, I think, even though J.K. Dobbins is a big hit to that team. So we'll see how they come around after that. But who are some other AFC teams besides them? The Chargers, interesting with Justin Herbert. The Raiders, I'm still kind of in limbo a little bit. I don't know. But I think the Titans are a top 3 AFC team. And I think I'm expecting to get to an AFC championship game again, Jake. And I think we have a good shot at getting to a Super Bowl and winning. This is the most I'm looking forward to this season, maybe more than any other season in recent memory, because I think you can legitimately see a chance that this team could take it to the top and bring home the Lombardi Trophy. And I mean, the most hype before that, it was like, I think, the ceiling is, if we can get to the playoffs, if we can just get to a playoffs, get a wild card, I think we can build on that momentum. We've seen this team do that now consistently. We kind of took a step back and not getting past the wild card round last year. It's a bad game, but that doesn't mean this team isn't ready to win a Super Bowl, Jake. And I think it's not unreasonable to think that you can expect the Titans to get to a Super Bowl. It's going to be tough against the Bills and Chiefs if they're going to be there in the end as well. But I mean, am I talking crazy? What do you think?
I am ready to run through a brick wall, Justin. I don't think you're talking crazy at all. I really don't. I do have Super Bowl pie in the sky expectations for this team. And you started it off perfect. You kind of built from our division onward. I wasn't quite old enough to experience McNair and Eddie years and have the Titans be really good consistently. I started watching around the Vince Young era, so it's been pretty turbulent up until present day. Yeah. But this is my first ever season as a Titans fan where I think we have a seat at the playoff dance before week 1. Even last season, coming off the AFC title game appearance, there were several question marks. Can Derrick Henry keep going? He did at 2,000 yards. Can Ryan Tannehill repeat? I was even a little bit skeptical that Ryan Tannehill could repeat that success. He did.
Yeah.
So, and looking around the AFC South, Carson Wentz doesn't scare me one bit, Justin. The Colts don't really scare me at all, frankly. And, Jacksonville is already imploding under Urban Meyer. There's a headline every 2 or 3 days about Urban Meyer doing something that his players don't like or the NFL doesn't like or anything like that. So I think that's kind of set up for a big failure in Jacksonville. And then people are saying the Houston Texans might not even field a roster or a team this year. So they might as well just pack it in Houston. I'm going to say that Houston's going to beat us in a big in a big game later this year.
Yeah.
But everybody's low on Houston. Everybody's not even lukewarm on Jacksonville. And I'm not afraid of the Colts, Justin. So walking into this year, if the Titans do not make the playoffs, it's a huge failure. It is a massive, massive failure from a football standpoint. And so having that expectation building up in me saying, we're going to host a playoff game and it's going to go better than the one last year against Baltimore, hopefully. And, I think if this team can put it together at the right time, if Derrick Henry is still firing on all cylinders, there is zero reason that the Titans can't be in Los Angeles in February for the Super Bowl. I really want to pump those expectations down a little bit because I know the first, Tannehill interception against Arizona or, Arizona's first offensive touchdown would be like, oh, great. It's all for naught. But I'm in a weird spot, Justin, where I'm over the moon expecting the Titans to be a very good football team for the first time in my life. Truly the first time in my life, I'm going into a football season saying we're one of the top contenders here. We have a real shot at a Super Bowl. So that's where I'm at. I don't think you're talking crazy at all.
We've seen the consistency now for a few years, especially the last 2 years. I mean, the question maybe going into last season at the beginning was last year a fluke? Did we just catch red hot fire and make it all the way to the AFC Championship game as a 9-7 team?
Yeah.
But that was kind of a mirage, 9-7, because that was when Marcus Mariota, we suffered, I think, four of those losses with him starting at quarterback. And it was when Ryan Tannehill came in when things really started picking up for us. And then you saw last year, the team goes 11-5, despite a defense that was just atrocious. It'll be interesting to see, kind of looking at both sides of the ball in the coaching aspect, how this offense is affected by Arthur Smith's departure, even though I think it's going to be largely the same system. We have so much top-end talent that you would just be an idiot to fail on the offense with the talent that you're working with. And on the defensive side, how is the addition of Jim Schwartz? That's kind of I don't know how much it's talked about.
Interesting, yeah.
But this is a guy that's coached a lot of football. He was with the Titans in the early 2000s, and some of our best defenses were under Jim Schwartz. Goes on to coach the Lions. He's like one of the only coaches to bring the Lions to the playoffs. Maybe the only coach, well, since I think they made it in the early 90s, but he brought them to the playoffs after a ridiculously long drought. And he won a Super Bowl with the Eagles as the defensive coordinator. So this is a guy that knows what success looks like. I think he could have a bigger influence on the defense than just his title of defensive consultant or whatever his actual title is. So it'll be interesting to see how he impacts the defense. I know he's big on blitzing and like the 4-3, traditional 4-3 kind of scheme, but I think we're with a multiple front or whatever that means. So hopefully that is an improvement, even if the offense somehow takes a step back. If the defense can at least make a step or two forward, this team is still going to be good enough to compete for a Super Bowl. I'm like you, dude. I'm over the moon. I'm very anxious and worried just in the week 1 game, because if we come out and lay an egg, it's going to be like, oh, my heart. Everything is just dashed and ripped out. Like, is this really going to be one of those kind of seasons where, I don't know, Arizona could be good. Not crazy about him. We'll see. Kyler Murray's a dangerous quarterback, and we'll dive deeper into this week 1 matchup next week with our preview video. But
for sure.
I don't know. Week 1 is always just like what's going to happen.
Yeah.
For every team, how are we going to look?
Yeah, for sure. Looking at that week 1 matchup, Arizona is such an interesting, uncommon opponent for the Titans. So it's definitely an interesting matchup from that point. And another thing to mention with our expectations for this Titans team is they're playing a first place schedule for the first time since 2009, probably. After winning the division in 2008. So they're playing a first place schedule for the first time in a very long time. And so we won't go game by game or anything, but I kind of want to highlight a few sections of this schedule and kind of feel out how this Titans team and how this Titans season is going to go. Obviously, you start off with 2 NFC West opponents, Arizona at Seattle, and then home at Indianapolis is going to be the tone setter, I think, for at least how the division goes, how this Titans team is going to handle this Colts team being the only realistic threat in the division. I feel like if they can set the tone week 3 and pick up that win against the Colts, pick up that division win, you can really start this season off on the right foot. Then they go to New York to play the Jets at Jacksonville. Dub. And then starts the murderer's row of games that the Titans have in this middle of the season stretch. So they play 5 games before getting to this onslaught of home against Buffalo, home against Kansas City, at Indy, at the Rams, and then who knows what the Saints are going to do, but that's kind of where it drops off. So those 4 games right there in the middle, week 6 through 9, Buffalo, Kansas City, Indianapolis, the Rams. If the Titans can go 3-2, ideally 4-1, I would imagine the only game they drop in those first 5 games might be at Seattle. Hopefully it's not against Indianapolis, but we'll see. They don't scare me at all. Obviously, you could hear it in the tone of my voice.
Carson Wentz is gonna get like struck by lightning and be out for that week or something. Something bad could happen to Carson Wentz. He can't stay healthy at all.
He cannot stay healthy. But I think if the Titans can go 4-1 in their first 5, they're going to be in a good situation, and then you're going to be staring down the barrel of a Monday Night Football game against Buffalo. That's really going to set the national stage for this Titans team. They're going to be on the Monday night spotlight. It's a very quality opponent, one of the other contenders in the AFC that we were talking about, Justin. That's going to be a big, big game for the Titans as far as national recognition goes.
And then right after that, the Chiefs come to town on a short week. That kind of stinks. But the good thing is we do play the 2 best AFC teams outside of the Titans back to back, but we get them at home. So that could hopefully, play into an advantage. But yeah, Chiefs on a short week after facing a tough Bills team. It's going to be tough. If we win both of those games, people are going to be talking about the Titans.
Especially, for sure. If they're sitting at 6-1 after that, going to get some crazy. Talk about, we're already hyped up right now. Imagine if, they knock both of those teams off back to back. That'd be wild.
Dude, and it's interesting if you look at the division, we don't all of our non-division games, there's no like easy game, maybe except the Jets, but that's at the Jets. The Cardinals might be one of our easiest non-division games, and the Cardinals aren't a pushover at all. No. I mean, and looking late in the season, we get San Francisco at home. I could very much see Trey Lance, taking over that team and playing good football. I know there's a lot of hype about Trey Lance, so that could be a very difficult game as well. Go at Pittsburgh late in the season, at New England. Some of these maybe mediocre teams, how people are probably thinking these teams maybe around 500 coming into the season, but we play at their stadiums, away games. Got the Saints. Who knows what they're going to do? You mentioned at the Rams with Matthew Stafford and Sean McVay. That could be a lethal combination. I have some high expectations for that Rams team as well. So, like you said, tough first place schedule. Is this what life is like as a good football team, Jake?
I guess so. How are we supposed to know? We're just the Titans. We're just the Titans.
This is uncommon territory. Hey, if you want to be the best, you got to beat the best, as they say. So we're here to do that now.
Absolutely. Now, I don't know if you had a record prediction in mind. I don't want to go through each game individually, but when I sat down to take some notes for this video, I was kind of going through, if the Titans are firing on all cylinders, I think it's realistic to have a 13-14 win season. I don't know if you're thinking that way. A 14-3, especially if they can beat Kansas City, I think it's possibly realistic that the Titans do have that number 1 seed and get that first round bye. I know we're getting way ahead of ourselves at 13 or 14 wins, but I think that's the ceiling and a decent expectation for this team if they put it all together and stay healthy.
I think the ceiling could be 14 wins for sure. That's a lot. I mean, that's pretty much saying that's almost predicting a 14-2 season. We're not predicting that, but I'm saying that's the ceiling. That's as good as this team could
14-3.
Right. Back in the I guess I was saying previously back in the 16 game format.
Fair enough.
And that's that's pretty much as high as you can hope for as far as winning games in the regular season goes. But I could, as difficult as the schedule is, I could see us going like 6-0 in the division and then going like 11-6 total. Is that 7? That's 17. Do the math. Yes. We're like 10-7, but be 6-0 and be division champs just because those are our easiest games. Because what do you know? So, but I think that could be like our floor.
Yeah,
10-7, 9-8,
like it.
and be like a weak division champ, or maybe the Colts, or maybe Carson Wentz is better than expected and they take the division, but we get a wild card, and that would be a disappointment. But man, how far have we come saying getting a wild card spot is a disappointment?
Yeah, I know. Yeah, I would honestly feel a little bit disappointed with a wild card slot this year, especially with how weak the AFC South is. The Titans are the clear-cut favorite in the division. I know some national media is picking the Colts to win, but I might go Joe Namath here, Justin, and lock in the Titans as AFC South champs. Take it to Vegas, take it to the bank. I'm guaranteeing a division title for this team. Asterisk if Ryan Tannehill stays healthy, if Derrick Henry stays healthy. But yeah, that's kind of where we're at expectation-wise. Very pie in the sky. I don't want to hear that 9-8 talk. I really don't.
What was I thinking? Let's continue. I mean, it would continue our streak of consecutive winning seasons. I think
it would.
We were like tied or something with like the 4th or 5th longest regular winning seasons streak. It's like, I know Kansas City's there, Seattle,
Pittsburgh.
Yeah, they have a ridiculously long streak going. So yeah, we have one of the more winning teams in the NFL currently. It's crazy. I mean, we're living in like glory years almost. The new glory days are now.
True.
People, let's enjoy it. We could legitimately. I know a lot of people are talking Derrick Henry in this light. If he leads the league in rushing touchdowns again, he's on track to being a Hall of Famer, and he would be the first Titan to play his career as a Titan and have a shot as a Hall of Famer. I know Bruce Matthews is a Hall of Famer, but I think he played 2 seasons with the Titans, but it was all with the Oilers. Warren Moon was always an Oiler. We don't have any Hall of Famers. We have Hall of Very Goods, but no actual Hall of Famers yet to put in Canton as Titans. So man, he's something special, that Derrick Henry. So hopefully he can, keep chugging along, lead this team to the promised land. Even if he doesn't lead the league in those rushing categories, but he still has a good season and the Titans put a ring on his finger, he might end up in the Hall of Fame still, even with that.
No doubt. I think adding a Super Bowl win to Derrick Henry's arsenal as a player definitely puts him in the Hall of Fame. I think he's fringe Hall of Fame candidate as it stands right now. I mean, looking at the success he has brought the Titans team and the highlight reels, his stiff arms are going to be played on NFL commercials for the rest of our lives, probably. And we're sitting here watching it live, sometimes in person, but usually over the TV. I remember saying last year, Justin, to stop and smell the Derrick Henry roses. We are watching greatness. And I like what you said. Parlay that. We're watching the new glory years of the Tennessee Titans. Soak it in. So I'll try and remember the first Arizona, like when Arizona scores that first touchdown week 1, that the sky is not falling, pump the brakes. We are living in a great era of Titans football, and I'm so glad to be on here talking with you about it. I picked a good time to join the Titans Tube team.
You weren't there in the beginning. Actually, Titans Tube started at a very good time. Our first year was 2016, I think, which was
first 9
at
and
the
7.
beginning of the 2016 season. We just got DeMarco Murray. It was an exciting year. We almost had the playoffs. We had some key memorable wins, like we throttled Aaron Rodgers and the Packers at home. We beat the Chiefs with the Ryan Suckup field goal, standing on the Arrowhead as Mike Keith would call. Super exciting year that ended with the Jaguars breaking Marcus Mariota's fibula. So thanks for that, Jags. But that was the first year of Titans Tube. So maybe the Titans turned it around because of Titans Tube. They were like, oh man, we gotta play better football if we're gonna have Titans Tube talk about this team.
So
that's
welcome.
Ridiculous. Everything I'm saying is ridiculous and it should be ignored. But as we close, Jake, we were just talking about the Hall of Fame, and the Titans do not have any Hall of Famers, but we have some Hall of Very Gooders. And let's talk about one of these Hall of Very Gooders, because he just announced that he is going to be retiring from the NFL after 10 years. I had a tweet earlier a few hours ago. The Jerrell Casey, man, top 10 probably Titan of all time, easily. Not probably, easily. I would put him in the top 10 of all-time Titans. What a great career. He saw a lot of the bad, poor, terrible years. But, dude, I'm so glad that his last year as a Titan, he saw this team and got to play deep into the playoffs, got to play in an AFC championship game, and making impact games. Having an impact in those games. So what I'm trying to say, especially in that divisional round upset against Baltimore, one of the biggest, I think that's one of the biggest playoff upsets in a while.
Recent memory, for sure.
A 14-2 team, Super Bowl favorites, get upset by a 9-7 Titans team. Although we said we were definitely better than what that record indicated. Yes. But what a career. And he had such an impact on this franchise. He saw the lowest of lows to almost as high as this team has ever been. AFC championship game. Only made it to that one Super Bowl in '99 still. But he played on the highest stage pretty much as a Titan. So what a career. I would put him in the Ring of Honor. Consummate pro. He played and he never got hurt. He was always available. Full 16 game seasons. And also I tweeted, I think he is our most decorated Pro Bowler. He made 5 straight Pro Bowls, Jake. I cannot think on the top of my head a player that made more than him. Chris Johnson made 3. I think Eddie George was 3 or 4 back in the day. Steve McNair made 2 or 3. AJ Brown is on track though.
Yes.
Well, he just has 1. And Derrick Henry is also on track. I could see him making a 3rd Pro Bowl this year and a 4th and maybe a 5th. But 5 Pro Bowls is outstanding. It's the most Titan has ever had. So I've talked a lot about Jerrell Casey.
No, you're good.
All the praise, dude. What do you have to say about our great defensive lineman, the butt crack, the crack?
Definitely. Hats off to the USC graduate Jerrell Casey on an incredible career with the Titans. Only played 3 games with Denver for the sake of Titans Tube. We won't even count that. But he played pretty much the entire 2010s decade with the Titans. And you're hit the nail on the head. He played the lowest of lows and nearly the highest of highs, playing in an AFC title game with this Titans team. Definite Ring of Honor candidate, I would say, for the Titans. 5 straight Pro Bowls hasn't been done in the Titans era. Probably Bruce Matthews is the most decorated Pro Bowler of all time, but a lot of Oilers. A lot of Oilers.
Yeah, it was a lot with the Oilers. I guess. Just speaking of in the Titans uniform, wearing that Titans helmet in the Pro Bowl.
Yep,
Casey's done it more than anyone else.
Yeah, and I know this is about Jerrell Casey, and this shouldn't be a shot at Nissan Stadium, but I think it's high time that the Ring of Honor gets a facelift in Nissan Stadium. It's kind of, I hate to say it, but it's kind of pathetic. It's just canvas signs zip tied to the fence at the top of the stadium.
Oh, yeah.
And I think a Titans exec was on 104.5 recently saying that it is expected to be updated soon, and they do have plans to do that. Thank God.
To actually put their image up there, or them in their football uniform or something.
No
not
more
just their
zip tied signs. We need something impressive for these players. It's a ring of, wow, we went to fast signs and spent $60 to put them up in the Ring of Honor. Come on, we need a little bit better than that.
That's true. Yes, I'm glad they're doing an update then. I didn't know that.
Yeah, I'm fairly certain I saw that from somebody. I think V Love may have said something about it, about that exec. But long story short, Jerrell Casey, incredible career, all-time Titan, especially while I was growing up watching those early 2010 Titans teams when there wasn't a lot to cheer about, but Jerrell Casey was always a steady piece of that defensive line, always one of our top players. A lot of times our only representation on the top 100 list was Jerrell Casey.
Yeah.
So hats off to him. Wish him the best in retirement. I think his press conference is happening right now as we're taping. But definitely hats off to Jerrell Casey. Love you, 99. Do you think 99 gets retired? I mean, we have an up and coming Rashad Weaver wearing the 99 right now.
That's right. Oh, and Jadeveon Clowney wore that too. Maybe we should retire it in his honor for all those games and those huge plays that he made for us after his signing.
That was my least favorite part about the Jerrell Casey leaving saga is we gave Clowney number 99 right after trading him for a 7th rounder. That's tough. That's tough.
That is tough. I don't know. The jersey retirement is something like super special. And I mean, McNair and Eddie George were great here, but I think a lot of their retirement has to do with the amount of games they won and the success and like really catapulting the Titans to Super Bowl contenders year after year. At the end, there's a lot of nostalgia too, I guess. And just, that those two players made a lot of Titans fans. They were fun and exciting to watch. But I mean, as far as like the greatness of their play, I don't know if that, if their jerseys would be retired off that. I mean, Eddie George was a 4-time Pro Bowler at most, and his jersey's retired. So, yeah. I mean, when you think about jersey retirements, you think about Super Bowls and multiple consecutive All-Pro selections and 10 Pro Bowls, and like just a legend of the game gets their jersey retired. But, I think they should have their jerseys retired just because they brought the identity of the Titans to the city of Nashville and established that. So, I don't know.
I'm with you there.
I'm not against it.
I'm just floating the idea. Yeah, definite Ring of Honor candidate, jersey candidate, maybe pump the brakes on that. But we'll see how Rashad Weaver plays in the 99. And if he can take off with it, then, we might keep it around for a while.
Yeah. And then we'll retire it for both of them. We've had 2 great 99s.
Yeah, there you go.
And they get 1 gets each 9. Yeah.
Love it. I don't know if you have anything else to cap this season preview, off-season recap, mishmash episode. Yeah. But it has been an absolute pleasure to hop back on here and talk Titans football, Justin. It's September. The air is chilled, and I'm ready.
It feels good. It feels good to be back in the game, in the YouTube talking football game. It's been a long video, it feels like. So if you guys have stuck around to the end, we thank you very much for that. If you want to like and subscribe, that'd be great. That'd be cool. But, it's free country. You can do whatever you want. You can watch our videos and not like it at all.
It's true.
But we wouldn't like that very much. But thank you guys for joining us. We'll be back next week talking about this Arizona Cardinals Week 1 game more in depth. And we hope you guys join us for that.
Absolutely.
And with that, Jake, I think we can call it a wrap if you want.
Love it. It is time to watch some Titans regular season football action. Let's tighten up, do as the flags say. I cannot believe we're going to be filming the Arizona preview just next week. So excited. Like, comment, subscribe, all that jazz. This has been Titans Tube. Justin, I will see you later, my good man.
We'll see you then. Thanks, guys.
Peace out.
Peace out. You should cut that out.
I'm definitely leaving it.